Welcome to another live podcast right here on NATV Podcast Network. All right, let's jump to this. 3 habits that can truly prove to be overwhelming, emotionally exhausting, are thinking patterns that contribute to excess emotional weight can start to weigh us down. There are certain foods that we all know can truly prove to be, well, good for us. Then there are times that the consequences are paid when we eat things that aren't good for us. So too when it comes to our emotional well-being. Certain things can truly be beneficial to us, but there are times that other things can weigh us down. Choices and decisions can truly be overwhelming for us emotionally. Similar to how eating certain foods can have a long-term effect on our physical wellness, thinking in certain ways can have a long-term effect on our emotional wellness. If these practices or habits, mental habits, as it were with foods, start to, get out of place or are not balanced, we can begin to lose our balance. We would say that they make us gain a lot of emotional weight. Now, while there's no way to truly measure or have a metric to work with when it comes to our emotional weight, a state of negative thinking consists of a mix of worry, stress, and disappointment. These can begin to weigh down our heart. They can weigh down us to the point that when our emotions need to be expressed, we can find ourselves exploding. Emotional weight can become as stubborn and tough to lose as body weight. Just like body weight can pose restrictions on the kind of intensity and physical activity we engage in, so too when it comes to our emotional weight. It can make it difficult to feel joy, contentment, and appreciation. To be open, honest, vulnerable, and accessible in our relationships and even with ourselves. Just to be motivated and engaged can, seem fleeting. Keep these 3 things in mind, starting with number 1. Setting unrealistic expectations, that happens to all of us. Expectations are beliefs about the way the world should look. For example, how we should feel, what we should achieve. We start to feel behind, or we should do better. We begin to treat ourselves cruelly, and sometimes it will spill over and we'll do the same to others. When expectations are met, they can become a significant source of frustration, constant, daily, even frustration. When setting unrealistically high expectations, we're just setting ourselves up for disappointment, which means even more frustration. When it comes to unrealistic expectations, extend beyond bigger goals, set up for ourselves almost as if we're putting ourselves in an emotional prison in which there is no way out, no matter how hard we try. These tiny failures in which we or others are not doing what we quote unquote should do or should be done can have an insidious toxic effect on our emotional wellness. Making should statements and setting ourselves up with this little game of playing should and should not. These can really wear on us, and our cognitive behavior can begin to be affected. A pattern of illogical thinking can start to take over. And no matter what encouragement others try to give us, we just can't see our way through the fog. That contributes to the onset and maintenance of emotional challenges, for example, like anxiety and depression. Navigating our emotions is one thing. Putting our emotions, as it were, in a corner filled with stress is a whole nother thing. Well, we need to give consideration to point number 2, making unfair comparisons. Social comparisons is a common practice and a useful tool at times to place ourselves in a continuum of psychosocial indicators. We can begin to see things and understand, okay, I can achieve things. But if we're not careful, negative thinking can have a negative impact because we begin to compare ourselves and what we have done, not done, to others. High school reunions used to be a great occasion for social comparison, sometimes leaving us feeling great and sometimes, well, miserable. But in the last few years, an even more massive opportunity for social comparisons has emerged. One that you don't have to wait for once every decade, like a high school reunion. It's called social media. Many social media platforms have become, well, an avenue in which many began to compare themselves and feel loss. A point to keep in mind is point number 3, overcommitting. Some of us have a tendency to sign up for everything, as if we can handle everything. And, well, it can come back to bite us. We agree to participate in new and exciting projects, take on more responsibilities at work, volunteer for good causes, and fill our schedules with more activities than there is time to do them. We literally overcommit. Overcommitting can cause overwhelming anxiety, cognitive overload, and mental fatigue. Taking on more responsibilities than we can carry, it reduces the chances that any one particular job can get the attention it truly deserves, and that it can get done really well. But why do we keep doing it? There are 2 thinking patterns that contribute to overcommitting. Consider this. When we overcommit, we are saying that we're able to do it all. When we're not able to achieve it, we recognize we weren't able to do it all. Because of that, we find ourselves truly feeling depleted. So let's look at 2 thinking patterns. First is the belief that being busy is good. Busy people are considered, well, more successful, more competent, and more important. So they say. Therefore, staying and sounding busy is more socially desirable than having too much free time and nothing to do. And while we can impress others, we can impress ourselves with how busy we are. Come on now. The price we pay is just too high. The price we pay is that we now have to pencil in downtime just to keep our schedule functioning. We have to set reminders on our phones that tell us to take a break. And we have to use moments of reflection and deep contemplation just to clear our head, let alone put on something so that we can go to sleep at night. The other way of thinking that contributes to overcommitting is the fear of missing out, or FOMO, the fear of missing out. Life is full of exciting opportunities, and if you start saying no, oh boy, you're missing out. You risk being left out and excluded from something groundbreaking, life-changing, history-making, once-in-a-lifetime event. That feeling can, stir inside of you to the point that you just say yes now and figure it out, or how to make it work later on in your schedule. Ironically, though, that brief anxiety caused by FOMO, the fear of missing out, is now replaced by chronic stress that comes from having overcommitted. Focusing on finding a balance between doing too much and doing too little may take time, but it will offset the emotional weight added by the stress of overcommitting. Consider this. A good starting point to prevent emotional weight gain is awareness. Let's repeat that. A good starting point to prevent emotional weight gain, weighing down our hearts, is awareness. Becoming able to identify these unhealthy emotional practices and behaviors, habits, as we engage in them. It's easy to identify foods that contribute to weight gain. You may be eating them right now. We recognize that a cupcake is a cupcake when we see it, and then we choose whether to eat it or not. But thought patterns are often hidden behind clouds of excuses, words, and habits, which makes it harder to identify and change. Therefore, in conclusion, a first step to avoiding the excess emotional weight is to begin recognizing when we engage in these practices by asking ourselves questions like, is this expectation realistic? Also, is this comparison fair? And is this commitment wise? After we recognize them, we can make better choices. We appreciate you always being supportive to us here on NATV Podcast Network. Stay tuned for more exciting shows coming your way. Thank you, Dr. Pepper 76. We have a number of things scheduled and laid out for you over the next 3 weeks. By all means, we invite you officially right now to join us Friday, because you know me well if you've been hanging out with us since we started this back in 2020. We've got some surprises for you. I cannot tell you, but you're not going to want to miss Friday Night Live, my own personal show to you, my subscribers, members, and viewers. So I've got something for you. And by the way, stay tuned. We have a few more new channels coming your way, from us here at NATV Network. and Rhythm Entertainment Productions. Enjoy the music. Love you guys. See you later.